please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
You're with us here on a fresh new edition of MIDCAP Radar. The market is up 70, 72 odd points or so, and things are looking quite okay. We, by the way, I mean, ran up almost 100 points, so which basically means that we have climbed down quite a bit. The high today is 10,618. So you're basically about still 40, 45 points off the highest level today. Mid-caps, though, are feeling the pressure. I mean, their index, by the way, is down 0.5%. That's 100 points as we speak. Declines overwhelmed at once as about 2 hours back, and it's only gotten wider. The gap there has only gotten wider. With me is my colleague Sumaira. Sumaira, afternoon.
Hi Prashant, good afternoon to you as well. And I guess what doesn't help is that European markets have opened absolutely flat. They've actually moved higher since the last time I checked. So about 0.25%, but it was expected given that Wall Street itself had shrugged off the inflation release. So European markets are doing okay for now.
Stories we'll sort of dwell upon some of them in a bit, especially, of course, the big PNB story. I mean, the market's coming off even more. I mean, from the time that we started the show and we read the headlines out, the Nifty has lost another 10, 12 points. So this is, I mean, actually coming off pretty swiftly. The mid-cap index has lost another 10 basis points. It's about 20 odd points or so. So there is a little bit more selling and pressure across. PNB, by the way, is now down 7.5%. It had come up a little bit, was down at about 5.5%, 6% at one point. Ashwani is with us on the top of the show as always. Ashwani, thanks very much. Your reading of the screen so far?
See, our problem is that we can't quietly do an investigation. So every couple of hours we come out announcing that now this scam is worth more than 11,000, etc. We had a nice 250-point rally on the bank Nifty. That got punctured. In this sort of environment, no rally will survive. And each time something is, bulls muster up courage, you'll have some breaking news which will puncture these things. So that way, I think last couple of hours today should be fairly brutal on the downside, particularly on the banks, because that's where people got long in the morning thinking that now, they can move on. So my sense is I wouldn't be surprised if Bank Nifty gets into even the negative. So overall, the rally that we had to about 10,600, 620, that has been sold into. And now we should look at the other end of the range, which is 10,400, 450. But the mucky environment, I don't think will let us move beyond 10,600.
Okay. 50 points now and coming down swiftly. So from the time, in the last 4 minutes, the Nifty has lost essentially 20 points. Talk about, climb downs, and this one is quite something. The mid-cap index has lost 50 points in the last 4 minutes. In the last 4 minutes. So I think we've got, basically a literal sort of interpretation of what Ashwani was talking about going on right in front of our eyes right now. Nifty 10,550 about to be taken out. The Sensex is down 164 points, 34,319. Advanced decline for every two stocks which are down. There's only one stock which is actually higher. If you can very quickly put up what's moved in the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, one of those graphics, it may actually help to identify where the selling is coming from. I mean, first up, one has to look at the banks. I think the Nifty bank is off quite a bit. It's up just about 1/3%. So I think an intraday on the Nifty bank will make that point clear right now. So for now, holding on with a 50-odd point gain as we speak. Let's see where this one goes from here. Ashwani, anything else? I mean, in your earlier trades that you'd pointed out, I mean, stuff like Hindalco, etc. You'd put out all good for one to hold, or you think stops are getting hit there?
See, obviously, once market starts to come off in this sort of manner, even metal stocks will come off. See, the issue here is, Mr. Nirav Modi is enjoying his money in Switzerland. I wake up tomorrow morning, Bank Nifty long, and I'm told the scam is not 11,000, it's 50,000 crores. Where does that leave me? So do you think people with any kind of conviction will be able to now carry positions? So, this sort of environment, anyway, the confidence was low. Now, this hits confidence like nothing else because this will not be solved in next 10 days, 15 days. So if it's going to linger on, slowly it will turn towards the bearish side, whatever else happens around the world, because around the world markets are higher. But we have created enough issues of our own, which leads to a problem. Having said that, for the moment, JET Airways is a sell with a stop of 761, target of 735. Century Textile is a sell with a stop of 1270, target of 1220. And Hindustan Zinc is a buy with a stop of 312, target of 328.
So Mehra, make that 30 points now. So 30 points in the, I was saying 20 points in 4 minutes, 30 points in the last 6 minutes basically is what we've got. Ashwani, some very sharp selling coming as we speak. Anything in particular to your mind dragging this? I mean, you made the broader top-down points, no conviction really. But as you see the screen now?
See, we were long on Bank Nifty and just then your news hit that the scam is bigger than 11,000 crores. Now, when you have an open target, banks want to sell off first and look later. BOB, etc. were 0.5% lower. BOB is now 4.5% lower. PNB was recovering. It went up as much as it was down only 4.5%. Now it's back to 7.5%. So if we haven't closed it at 11,000 crore, then the downside is open.
Ashwani, thanks very much. Appreciate you join us, run us through what you make of the correction that we have on our hands as we speak. So I was saying 30, now 35 points in the last 7 minutes or so. So it's accelerating. The downside is accelerating. The mid-cap index was down 100 points at 130. It's down almost 200 points 7 or 8 minutes later. Let's just, I think, spend 2 minutes talking about the big story, which is essentially the PNB story, which Ashwani was also talking about. Ritu's here with the latest. Ritu.
Prashant, a few clarifications before I get to the updates from today. When we're talking about the scam being bigger than what is, being said by Punjab National Bank, they said the scam is $1771 million, which is about 11,300 crore rupees. Yet, it is bigger than 11,000 crore rupees. Yesterday some bankers did tell us it could be 13 to 14,000 crore rupees. I think at this point there is no indication whatsoever that the scam could balloon to 50 or 1,000 levels or whatever the market is speaking of. So I think that fear, is just speculation at this point of time. The other thing is the involvement of other banks. Now, the involvement is not a fraud by other banks. What has happened is there were letters of undertaking fraudulently issued at Punjab National Bank, on the basis of which credit was extended to Nirav Modi and Gitanjali Gems companies by these 6 banks through their overseas branches. These 6 banks, as we said earlier, are Allahabad Bank, Bank of India, Canara Bank, Axis Bank, Union Bank of India and State Bank of India. These banks have not committed a fraud. They have given credit against the LOUs that were issued fraudulently by PNB. In total, the sum as of now we know is 11,300 crore rupees. Individually, I could tell you the breakup. Allahabad Bank is about 2,200 crore rupees. Axis Bank over 2,000 crore rupees. But subsequently, it sold all of its exposure. So Axis Bank is clean as of now. There is also a Canara Bank and Bank of India that have anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 crores each. You also have Union Bank with about 2,300 crore rupees and State Bank of India $150 million or 960 crore thereabouts. So this is the exposure that these banks have. Now remember, not to Nirav Modi or to Gitanjali Gems, but to PNB, which was the guarantor. So PNB is the one that has to clear these claims, and therefore the onus now lies on PNB. All these banks have been laying these claims. PNB, of course, in its letter yesterday, if you would recall, has also shifted the blame partly on all of these banks, saying they did not share adequate information, but that is the extent of the blame. We don't, nobody has established the fact that these other 6 banks involved have committed any sort of fraud by lending money to PNB. The money at the end of it came to PNB's account and was given out from PNB's account. So the onus right now is only and only on PNB to repay all of these banks.
All right, Ritu, thanks very much for that. Just another word on the market. The advanced decline ratio seems to be deteriorating and deteriorating quite fast. So there's now only one stock which is advancing, for more than 2 which are declining on the NSE. And as we speak, there's not a single Nifty stock which is actually advancing, all of them. The stock on our radar now is HPL Electric and Power. They've delivered a good set in Q3. Gautam Seth, the joint MD of the company, now joins in. Mr. Seth, good afternoon. Thanks much for speaking with us. This quarter, we've seen a decent performance, actually, despite the fact that other expenses have gone up, your finance costs have gone up. Going forward, I mean, with this out, what's the kind of performance that we can expect, say, for the full FY18, and what's the outlook now on FY19?
Yeah, I'll just run you through very quickly on the performance. That on a quarter-on-quarter basis, our revenues have grown 23%. We've also had our EBITDA going up by 17% and our PAT at 8.8 crores going up by 42%. Even on year, looking at the, if you see on the adjusted turnover of the previous year, we are 23% growth on the revenues and again a 10% growth on the EBITDA as well as the PAT. So in all, it's been a much better results going forward, because as you are aware, last quarter has been, the second quarter rather, has been affected by the GST, and prior to that we've had the demonetization and the specific disruptions what we've been having in the meter industry, where the tenders were much lower. Now we see a much better traction in business. Our order book on meters is today over 300 crores, and this is after having 2 successive quarters of good execution of meters. So the metering has picked up. Switchgear, we've had a 33% growth quarter on quarter. So the 2 of our main verticals have picked up. Lighting has seen a good traction over the last 2 quarters. So in all, the performance seems to be getting much better now. Going forward, when we see we definitely see the trend much better on the trade market, because as I said, the effects of GST are now gone and there's a good movement all around when you look at the markets. So we do expect a good volume growth as well as the value growth going forward, even on the Q4. And our capacity utilizations have in all the 4 product categories have gone up. So that's something very positive from us.
So just a quick bit, I just want to mention the Nifty. If you can have the intraday on, actually, you know, the market has actually recovered. I mean, we had gains of just I think 30 odd points left. We are up 65 points now. That is essentially, those are also pictures coming in from the PNB, I guess, offices in New Delhi. The management is going to speak, and we will get you what they have to say in just a bit. But I think this is just pictures from the conference, which is about to begin, I guess. I mean, I was talking about the Nifty, which has recovered 30 points. I mean, it was looking like a one-way downward drift. With only 30 points left, we've recovered 30 points from those. There you go. That's a sharp recovery which has come through. And you look at the MIDCAP index also. The MIDCAP index was down almost 190 points at one point. That is just about 5 minutes back. We've recovered 60 points from the lows. So it's all happened in the last, 25 minutes. A fall of 40 points on the Nifty, a recovery of 30 points from there, a fall of 100 points in the mid-cap index, and from there a recovery of almost about 50, 60 odd points or so. So quite incredible, the moves that we are seeing as of now. Okay, back to HPL. Mr. Seth, just a quick word on receivables. I mean, you know, you deal with SEBs. Is there a problem? Have things gotten better? Are things static? Because that was one of the issues I remember getting talked about quite a bit when you came out with the issue, with the IPO sometime back. Big story remains the market, which fell 40 points and recovered 30 post that in the last 30 minutes or so. But we also will keep it with earnings. SVP Global is a yarn manufacturing company. And they came out with numbers for the third quarter. The stock has done extremely well. It's up 170% in the last 1 year. And we've got the management join us to talk us through the numbers. We have Chirag Pitti. He's the managing director of the company. Chirag, thanks very much. Good to have you here. Could you briefly tell us, we believe that in the profit after tax, which came in at 20 crores, there is another income item of 8 crores, non-operational, right?
Hi. Okay. Yes, it basically reflects the subsidy income that the company gets, a reimbursement of the subsidy on our debt, which is part of our incentive package.
Okay. So this is not recurring.
It is. The subsidy is in place for another 4 years. So the other income would be there for that period as well.
Right. I mean, so what are the like-to-like numbers in terms of net profits this quarter compared to last quarter? It would be 20. How would you look at? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just give you a brief background. So in terms of revenue, we had about 700 crores of revenue this quarter, as compared to about 400 crores last quarter. Although last quarter was affected by GST coming in. If we look at the same quarter last year, we were at about 610 crores. So we've seen a revenue growth of close to 15%. But the important point is that we've seen a very sharp increase in EBITDA, whereas last year, same quarter, we were at about 50 crores. For this quarter, we're at about 73 crores. As well as a sharp increase in PAT, which has grown from 9 crores last year to about 20 crores this year for the same quarter.
All right, Chirag, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon. Keep your eye on the market, almost 10,570 on the Nifty now. A lot of these OMCs, BPCL, IOC is heading higher. In fact, BPCL is now up 2.5%, even at something like an ONGC to it, HPCL too. So a lot of these energy names heading higher. But we'll wrap up on MIDCAP Radar with the promise that your stocks will be live with the PNB management in just a short while from now. We brought you visuals of the PNB management getting ready, about to speak.